Anyway, the gaslighting crew really had a big week last week after the Supreme Court handed down several key decisions in big cases on religious liberty and freedom of speech, ruling in favor of a former mailman, saying he refusing to work on Sundays was okay. And a Colorado web designer could not be forced to make sites for things she has religious objections to. Then, of course, the court struck down President Biden's attempt to buy $400 billion of votes from those with student loans, but that, too, was kicked to the curb. And the left gaslighted all of it, calling it all an attack on young people, demanding the court be expanded. But the big bomb was the Supreme Court ruling in favor of Asian students that had been denied admission to Harvard and the University of North Carolina. So those schools could pick people of color, but not their color. Not their color to pursue affirmative action programs, you see. The Supreme Court rejected the idea that race should play a role, any role, in college admissions, striking it down as unconstitutional. Why? Because it is. But that was just another opportunity to light the blowtorch of gaslighting from AOC to Democrat members of the Senate to Joe Biden himself. They all attacked the Supreme Court, and Republicans too, claiming the decision was just white supremacy and racism, masquerading as an opinion from the nation's high court. Of course, it doesn't matter how many cases the left wins, like the right for gay marriage. Whenever they lose one, they lose their collective minds. Happens every time. A midget mentally, but a master at gaslighting, as I just mentioned, is AOC. She's openly hostile and declaring war on the Supreme Court because she doesn't like some of the rulings that get handed down. Listen to this.
I believe that if Chief Justice Roberts will not come before Congress for an investigation voluntarily, I believe that we should be considering subpoenas. We should be considering investigations. We must pass much more binding and stringent ethics guidelines where we see members of the Supreme Court potentially breaking the law, as we saw in the refusal, with Clarence Thomas to recuse himself from cases implicating his wife in January 6th. There also must be impeachment on the table. We have a broad level of tools to deal with misconduct, overreach, and abuse of power. And the Supreme Court has not been receiving the adequate oversight necessary in order to preserve their own legitimacy. And in the process, they themselves have been destroying the legitimacy of the court, which is profoundly dangerous for our entire democracy.
Yeah, profoundly dangerous for our entire democracy. No, you are.